Every person that overdoses, I can tell you, has PTSD from that overdose, okay? Having been through a series of overdoses, the PTSD is really intense. I'm going to cover just 3 of them. I don't want to go there, but we have to go there. Some of the worst overdoses involve cocaine. Anybody have an idea why cocaine overdoses are really bad to experience? Yes? Seizures, right? So at one point I was using lots of cocaine. My associates had lots of cocaine, and part of the deal was I got high for food for the rest of my life by making a bunch of people kind of friends with each other. This is back in the 80s. Those people are no longer with us. They're all dead or doing life in prison. And so one day I was shooting cocaine, lots of it, and instead of putting the powder in the spoon first, I put the water in the spoon first. And I was very, very high. Had taken 10 Valium 10s. I was very intoxicated. When I drew up the solution and injected it, I realized I had really made a huge mistake, and my heart began beating out of my chest. I began seeing people that were not there. The entire SWAT team began showing up and began challenging me. So I ran out of my car, okay, to the neighborhood, fell over a fence upside down, and began flopping and convulsing. So I'm telling you, it is absolutely terrifying to overdose on cocaine. You feel like you're dying. You can't control your body. You're seizing up. I went into the hospital. They held me for 2 days. They wanted to see if I was trying to do it intentionally. The truth was I wasn't that time. And I can tell you that the stimulant overdoses are some of the most terrifying because you're hyper aware. And one of the problems is that when you overdose from a stimulant, one of the last symptoms is visual hallucinations. The first are the audio hallucinations. You hear voices that are not there. When you see things that are not there, you're about to die. And that's pretty graphic. So I was able to survive that. My second overdose I'm going to talk about is a drug called GHB. You might recall that drug. It sounds a little bit old now, but it was out there for a while. So what was bad about GHB? Well, it also began used as a date rape drug, right? But it wasn't what it was used for initially. Bodybuilders began using GHB to go to sleep at night. They had all kinds of pains and working out really hard. You had all kinds of pain. You can't sleep at night, so GHB helped you sleep, right? That's how it began being used initially for sleep purposes. And later on, it began used like, you add it to some alcohol, you begin to drink it, and the effect is very similar to alcohol. The problem with GHB doesn't show up in the standard drug test. And so people were using it all day long. They were on probation because I can see my probation officer high on GHB. We're all doing great here today. Thank you very much. I'm going to go back home and do some more of this, right? So that's part of the reason it's very popular. So I was at the University of Alabama, and I was studying over there, and I had taken a bunch of GHB. And I was very intoxicated. I did not remember how much I had taken, and I wanted to take some more. And in my intoxicated state, I took too much. I remember waking up to a team of police officers and ambulance people taking me off to the hospital, okay? And the overdose was so severe, I went into a coma for 2 days. And the first 24 hours of my coma, I had no active brain functions, okay? And so I can just tell you that it took a toll on my family, having to come to the hospital and put together what they call that living will, that their plans for what happens to Raj. He's going to be a vegetable. And by the grace of God, and I have no idea how, but about 24 hours after that, no brain activity, I slowly began having brain activity again, and I came to. And I almost bit off half my tongue while I was seizing going through the GHB overdose. And that was pretty horrific as well. And when I came to, it was absolutely terrifying because I couldn't speak. I didn't know who was who. I couldn't walk. And so I'm here to say that overdoses are absolutely terrifying. Each one of them is a form of PTSD and trauma. And I want to give you my side of the fence of the trauma, let alone what my family went through and others have to go through. And the last overdose we're going to talk about is my heroin overdose. I was hanging out with this loser guy named Julio. He was a trust fund kid from a very wealthy family, never had to work. He had a nice house in Boston, unlimited access to drugs and time. And I relapsed after having a short amount of sobriety, and I was using it at his house, but I had a sponsor at the time. Also had a brand new Corvette at the time. And so I was over there and I was using, and I called my sponsor, and I was in a really dark place because I felt so ashamed for having had a few months sober and having fallen off. And he said, "Where are you at?" And I told him where I was at. I'm at Julio's house. And he goes, "Get out of there, get out of there." I said, "No." I said, "I'm just going to do a few shots, and then I'll call you tomorrow, get back to NA and all that kind of stuff." So I did a few shots in his bedroom, and I remember falling out and looking at him. I looked at him, and he smiled and walked away. And what had happened is that my sponsor And my wife had come to the house and he answered the door. They said they could see my cars in the driveway. They go, "Where's Raj at?" He goes, "He's not here." They go, "He just called us 15 minutes ago." He goes, "He's not here." They kicked the door down and got into the bedroom, and I was already blue. I was unconscious. He knew that. And so they called the ambulance. My sponsor took all the drugs out of my pockets, flushed everything down the toilet. He's a seasoned vet. He's got 25 years sober now, also a therapist. And went to the hospital. I spent 2 days in the hospital. I was so angry at Julio what he had done. He made a series of phone calls to me and my wife, mocking me, talking about how I almost died. He wasn't using heroin back then. He was more into crack. He called me a junkie loser. You're never going to be anything. You're the biggest piece of shit. He called my mom, told her what he saw. I hoped I would die. This kind of grinded away for a long period of time. Fast forward a few years later, when I had about 4 years sober, I'm in a Myers parking lot. Get out of my car, and I see Julio. He's right in front of me. After all the comments that he made, after all the horrible MFers to my mom, MFers to my wife, to my family, I told him, "You're not shopping at Myers today. Get back in your car. You're going to be in the hospital." He's like, "What?" I go, "Get back in your car. You're going to be in the hospital." So he got back in his car and drove away. Fast forward 3 years later after that. This has only been about 5 years ago. I get a call from a friend named Ron. He goes, "You never believe what happened." I said, "What?" "Well, they found Julio dead." I go, "What?" "Yeah, they found Julio dead." He goes, "Run where?" "On the same edge of the bed where you shot up at. He died of a heroin overdose." It's like, wow. It was so hard for me not to put my hands on him. And I prayed my ass off to try to be a very spiritual person and leave him alone. I never wished any bad will on him at all whatsoever. I just wanted him to leave me and my family alone. Karma is very interesting. So those are my traumatic experiences. Those are 3 overdose highlights. I live with the wreckage of that. I live with the pain of that. But I've moved on, And how I deal with my PTSD personally, I have lots of clients that I work with, especially lots of women that have been severely traumatized, that have been sexually trafficked. Use your imagination, all kinds of horrible things have happened to them. And I think because of my own personal traumas, I'm able to bond with them faster and go through the process of helping them heal. And I take pride in the fact that I really specialize in helping people heal, especially even soldiers from Afghanistan and Iraq. A lot of them as clients too. When we talk about the horrors of war and the horrors of addiction, we tie those things in together. There's an instant commonality with those people. So I do believe that all these bad things that I went through were not for nothing. All that suffering and adversity that I went through, all the withdrawals, all the trouble and trauma that I went through allows me to help and heal other people even better. And allows me to be the person that I am today. So those things did not define me, they refined me, they made me a better person. And that's why I feel that I'm able to help people. And that's why it's my passion. It's never going to change. I will always be helping people. Getting sober, life coaching, that kind of stuff. It's how I turn lemons into lemonade. And so with that being said, I want to point out that everybody in this room I respect, because you guys are here trying to make this world a better place. You guys are stakeholders. You guys care about the community. I really feel that we all have our role to play in this. And I hope and pray that everyone that's lost someone to an overdose, that feels that pain, please, there's all kinds of opportunity to help and heal this country. Whenever I see a crisis, I see an opportunity to be a hero. You can't be a hero unless things are massively messed up. Can we agree on that? That things are massively not messed up right now. So we can all be heroes in our own way. Whether it's the person working on the policy issues, whether it's our law enforcement guys out there saving lives as first responders. So much respect to you guys for what we do. We can all as a community work together because we have a common unity. These kids, I call them kids because most of them are 25 years of age. That's our future. And those women that are